Hello and good morning. What's up, Kristen? How are you doing this morning? Happy Saturday. I am just wrapping up cleaning my kitchen. I normally have a bit more of a head start on prepping for the baking streams, but waking up on weekends is tough for me. So I'm almost done here. Just gonna wipe down all the counters. There may be something up with the notifications. The stream's definitely live, but I don't think everybody's here yet. But we're just gonna, bull right ahead with it anyways. I will show you what we're doing in just a sec here. Let me get everything sprayed down. Is it in the shot? Yeah, you can see. Check out the kitchen magnets. Check those out. They're really tiny and you can't really see them, which is about equivalent to how one would experience emotes like in the stream chat. I don't know what I expected. Of course they're going to be like 4 pixels tall, but I'm still really, really excited about them. All right. Here. I was wearing like 6 sweaters, but as soon as I turn on the lights for this, everything just heats up like crazy. Ugh. I don't know if we're ever gonna have sweater weather baking streams. Maybe one day. It's a shame, I have some really cute sweaters. So, we are making, if I can find it in here, Sugar Dusted Choux Twists, which are these ones. This is what they look like. So, mine are not going to look like that for a couple of reasons. One, I've never made these before, and pastry is always a little bit of a catastrophe the first time you try it, I find. And then secondly, she's like, get your medium-shaped star tip. And I'm like, I have a Ziploc bag. Actually, I might have a pastry bag in here somewhere, but I haven't, I definitely don't have a star-shaped tip for it, so we're gonna follow our hearts. Hey Hazel, just wanted to say thank you for your TSM videos. They really helped me figure out how to use the add-on and make the game more fun. Thanks, Matt. I'm really glad you like them. Okay, so our step 1 here, I guess I should get all my stuff out. We're gonna need butter, sugar, flour, eggs. It's like really straightforward. This should be a pretty quick one, ideally. We'll see. We'll see. Also, it's telling me to preheat my oven. I feel like I should start preheating once I start piping because I feel like that's gonna take me forever. But, nah, there's a point where it wants me to let the dough cool. I'll preheat the oven then. If I do it now, I'm gonna actually just melt. I'm just gonna melt. Okay, so butter, sugar, flour, eggs. It's fine. Actually, I don't even need the eggs yet. Those are later. So, sugar, flour. Okay. So you make this like in a pan on the stove. It's very strange. I've never made anything like that. So we've got down here flour, and then some sugar. And then at least 1 stick of butter. It says salted, and I think I only have unsalted, so we're just gonna like throw some salt in. So, butter's over here. Okay. So, in a sauce pot, and I don't think there's very much of anything. It's only 1 cup of flour, so I think I could just use like the little one. Why we don't do these things early in the morning, because I make a lot of noise. Hello everyone, welcome last player, how are you doing today? Okay, that'll do. So, what am I combining in here? Water, butter, and sugar. Alright. So I need 1 cup of water, I guess we'll do that first. I don't trust that one. I was not paying enough attention. There we go. And then 2 tablespoons. 2 tablespoons of sugar. So what do you guys have planned and going on in your weekend? I wanted to do like a bunch of mat runs in WoW this weekend, and I don't know if it's going to work out. 2 tablespoons? 2 tablespoons. Also, what if I just do mount runs all the time, and then I get all the mounts? And then I want to do mount runs on stream, and there's just, like, nothing left to get. I guess I can always do Mog runs, but I feel like less people want to see that. That's less exciting. Nobody's going to be like, you got the bracers! And they're just, like, purple with, like, a blue stripe on them. I'm like, yes, best bracers. I mean, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to try. That's the water and the sugar. The butter, medium heat. So we'll get this over here. Medium heat. I'm really hoping that the oven doesn't freak out, The temperature sensor on it's not like completely busted, but it's also not fully functional, and it gets really mad at not that hot temperatures. And when it gets mad, it starts beeping and just doesn't stop. Like, you have to flip the breaker. So I'm just crossing a lot of fingers if that doesn't happen, because if it does, I'm not going to know exactly what to do. How are you? Ready to clean? I think we're pretty clean. We've been cleaner. My dog might be whining a little bit in the background. He just gets a little upset when my husband has to leave, and he's stepping out for a little bit this morning, so there's going to be a little bit of dog anguish, but he's fine. About to go on a run, and then I have Law Prom. Law Prom? I have never heard of Law Prom. That sounds awesome. Have fun on your run. I hope you have better weather than we have here in Portland, because it's like really, really rainy. Hazel Stream. Welcome, Miss Hildine. I'm going with Miss Hildine. I apologize if I pronounced your name wrong. Miss Hildine Online. Welcome to the stream. So I should put the butter in there, huh? So the plan is bring to a simmer. Alright, so we'll just let that get hotter. I guess I should probably stir. I'm gonna go with the wooden spoon. I'm starting to think that lack of using my wooden spoons has been part of my cause of my iffy pastry. I've been trying persistently to get good pie crust, and I just can't do it. Like, every time I try to do pie crust, I add the required amount of flour, and I've like mixed the butter to the required amount, and it's just like a bowl of flour that's like got some chunks in it, and it's terrible. And it's like, okay, well, your dough should have pulled together now into a nice smooth dough, and I'm just staring at this bowl of flour, and I'm like, that's not right. And the only way I can get it into a dough is to either work it way too much, or add way too much water, or let it get warm. All three of which things ruin it. So I gotta figure out what I'm doing wrong. I've tried, like, mixing in the butter by hand. I've tried using the food processor. I'm gonna try a different recipe. I'm gonna follow some YouTube videos, because, you know, they can't be lying to me. They're showing me on tape, you know, there's video evidence that it works. I just gotta figure out what I'm doing wrong. Oh, and end the dishes. Oh, we're good. Got my nasty bitch. Congrats, Jack. Have you, oh, you know what? I completely forgot. On yesterday's stream, I was gonna try it in a PvP pet battle, and then I just forgot. Like, we ran out of time. Have you tried it yet? Like, his moveset looks super fascinating to me, and I'm just dying to see what he can do. I'm sure lots of people are queuing him right now. Okay, so right now, that looks really gross because it's a stick of butter just like in water with like some sugar, but I'm sure once it simmers and it's like melted, it'll be fine. So the plan is, that is going to simmer and melt, and then we're going to add 1 cup of flour, and then stir and cook it for another minute until it pulls away from the sides of the pan. Now, knowing my luck, it's either going to be just like sludge or a, you know, pile of flour, but there's like a lot of water in there. Like, it's more likely to be sludge than a pile of flour. And then we add eggs. This sounds really easy, and that's concerning to me. It's really concerning to me how easy this sounds, because there's no way. Also, up here in the skill level, like, every one of these recipes has one of these little things that tells you how long it's supposed to take. And it has a skill level, and I think master might be the hardest one. There's like apprentice, there's expert. I don't know if expert or master is supposed to be harder. It's not really verbally evident, but I'm concerned. Oh, man, can't bake it all, so I'm ready. Oh, me too. Feline Familiar might be my favorite ever. I hope it's not only usable for Hallow's End. No, you can use Feline Familiar whenever you want. All of the pets, all of the toys, year-round. The only thing that is limited to the duration of the Hallow's End event is the Mog. Like the Pumpkin Mog and the Hat Mog, you can only transmog those during the event. You can still put them on inside of them, but then you're not wearing your helmet. But yeah, no, the pets you can use all the time. All of the pets, all the toys. Collect away. It can be Hallow's End all year round. You can even leave your garrison decorated. If you wanted to live in your garrison for some reason because you miss Warlords of Draenor, you can leave it decorated, you know, however you want. I recently found your channel, really liking the videos. Thanks! Lazine? Lazine. We're going with Lazine. She was not easy to make, but I'm sure you will get it right. Alright, well that makes one of us. Alright, so, oh, we got more melted butter. It's getting there. I'm not gonna make that go too hot because I have a bad feeling about that. My kitty is in one of those moods. Any of you that have cats will know, assuming that you have a cat that's like my cat, like every now and then they just get crazy for no reason. And it's so funny because she'll be just like dashing around and looking absolutely insane, but then she'll like stop and then like stick out her foot and be like, I gotta clean this foot right now. It's pretty funny. Master Chef Hazel. Oh man, alright. So, I'm gonna try to remember that wherever I move the mic, I need to not... I think last time I had it by the computer, which means it was picking up the fans like the whole time. I went back and watched the VoD, I was like, oh no, I'm in a windstorm. This is not right. Alright, so I guess I should get a bowl... it says... Okay, so when we get to mixing the eggs, so like... This is not simmering yet, but when it is, we're going to add the flour, cook for a minute, and then move it to another bowl to cool. And then it says, while mixing with a hand mixer, add in the eggs one at a time, pausing until each is fully incorporated into the dough. Why can't I use my stand mixer? Would that not be easier? While mixing with a hand mixer. I kind of want to be a rebel and just do it in my stand mixer. But then I won't know if I've ruined it, if that's why. What could possibly be different? Like, the reason I don't want to use my hand mixer is the only thing I have to mix with in my... Actually, maybe I do. Do I have... Yeah, okay, I have regular beaters. I guess we can use a hand mixer. It's fine. Alright, we will follow the recipe exactly, but if I ever make these again, which really depends on how good they are. If I ever make these again, then I'm going to mix it up. But the first time, we're going to be super by the book. Okay. You know, aside from the whole star tip pastry bag thing, because we don't got none of that. Okay. Butter's melting, but it's still nowhere near simmering. You think Naxi's a pretty fine pet? You already tried him in some PvP pet battles and went pretty good. 41 of 50 won with it. You've queued 50 pet battles with Naxi? Have you been doing nothing else? He came out like 3 days ago. I've queued 50 pet battles in the last 2 years. That's insane. That's awesome. Also, 41 of 50 is an insane win rate. That's pretty cool. You're so hungry. I had a delightful piece of peanut butter toast this morning. I was gonna, like, make up some eggs so I'd have some extra energy, but sometimes it's just really hard to eat in the morning. Okay, so... No. I'm gonna turn it up just a little itty bitty tiny bit, and I guess we can prepare... If I'm gonna use a hand mixer, I guess I better prepare my bowl. I'm gonna need this in a second. Keep that over there. Dropping my towels. So thankfully, I have bowls now. If you've been watching these streams for a while, you'll notice I used to only have, like, the biggest of these bowls, but I picked up a set of them. I think this is going to be a pretty small batch of batter. I think I can use the second biggest one. Yeah, it'll probably fit in there. That's probably fine. I think the electric one will stretch the gluten in the flour too much and make the pastry chewy. Well, they're both electric. Like... When she says hand mixer, I don't think she means mixing it with your hand, although maybe she does. I don't know. I need all of these books to come with an interactive multimedia video section so I can see exactly what she's doing, because otherwise I will get this wrong. Yeah, the phrasing says while mixing with a hand mixer, which to me means using a hand mixer like an electric one. Otherwise, I think she would tell me to stir it with a spoon. But I've been wrong a lot. If you have the sunny weather, and you put Naxi on the board with Blood Drain and Death Coil, it's nearly unkillable. Oh, that's a good point, actually. The percentage health would be huge in him, because he has almost 2k health. I don't know if he has the most health. I haven't checked, like, other pets to see who might have a bigger health pool, but, like, 1921 is a big health pool. Like, that's more than a lot of the legendary Argus bosses. Oh, man. Those were never my favorite strats to run in PvP pet battles, though, because they take so long. They take so long. Sometimes you'll win just because your opponent gets bored and has to go to Pizza Hut or something. Like, there's something else to do. Nobody can sit there and fight one pet battle for that long. And when you're trying to, like, grind out wins for that achievement that I still don't have, I feel like time is of the essence. But then I just try and queue, like, rush strats and then I lose, so I don't think I'm necessarily doing any better. I should make some tea. I should totally make some tea. I've had 1 cup of tea, but that is just the beginning. What should I make? I'm feeling... I need something that's not going to get bitter when it gets cold, because my tea always gets cold when I'm baking, because I make it and then I immediately forget about it. So, that one's out and that one's out. Let's do... No. I don't know, it's too hard. I'll decide later. Alright, this is actually simmering now. This is simmering, I think. We've got some steam. we simmering? Simmer? Yeah, it's just beginning to come to a very, very slight boil. So we're gonna add a cup of flour. We're gonna try and not knock all of our flour off of the counter because that would be very messy, and then I would be out of flour, which would be tragic. I started to actually bake a little bit more off stream, which I attribute entirely to the streams, because before this I would like never bake. Mostly because I really want to figure out how to make a good pie crust. Like, I feel like if I can master that and then have one recipe that I'm really happy with, I can make quiche, I can make tarts, I can make pie. What else do you make with pie pastry? I don't know, all sorts of good stuff, and I want to figure it out, and I'm so bad at it right now. Alright, 1 cup. Oh, too much. It came to a harsher simmer than I would have expected. So we turned it down a little bit. This looks absolutely disgusting. That is the sludgiest thing I have ever seen. But I just need to stir it and cook for about a minute until it comes together. So I'm going to keep stirring, because the last time I added flour to something liquid, I did not mix it enough, and then it had like little pockets of dry flour in it. So I'm going to give it a pretty healthy, hearty stir. Oh gosh, alright. I'm going to turn off the heat actually, because this is like become dry very quickly. It has actually pulled away from the pan, which I'm impressed with. I'm concerned about that same thing that happened last time. Oh gosh, where there were pockets, like big pockets of flour. I don't know that I've prevented that. This is what it looks like right now. This is what it looks like. It actually looks like mashed potatoes. It looks exactly like mashed potatoes right now. It's pretty smooth. It's pulled away from the side of the pan. I would say that that's about mixed. Do I need to cook it a little longer? Sit that in the heat for a sec. Put away the flour. Good morning, Norma. How are you doing? Oh man. First baking stream I'm catching. You love the Alliance. Hey, pretty thanks, Petra. Oh, I like it too. I am a big fan. It's made of some pretty hardy denim, so I feel like it could survive something pretty scary. Okay. Not denim. It's not made of denim. I don't know what it's made out of, but it feels tough. Oh. I don't think I own anything made out of denim. I don't think I own a single denim thing. Like, I have 2 pairs of jeans. Pretty sure neither of them are made out of denim, and neither of them even fit me. I think I tried to wear jeans for the last baking stream, and I put them on, and I'm like, this is so uncomfortable. I don't want to do this. Don't make me wear them. And I'm sure, like, maybe jeans are just uncomfortable, and I've forgotten because I've been wearing, like, pajama pants for 5 years. But they're like, if they fit, I bet they just don't fit. Like, I haven't bought jeans in, you know, a long time. I bet my legs are a different shape now. It was just an experiment, which Naxi turned out to be a pretty good battle pet, at least for PvP. I'm gonna have to try that then, because I need a lot more wins. I can't level up 9 Draenei to 110 without flying. Is that a goal of yours? Because 9 seems like an oddly specific number. Why wouldn't you do 10? Not to, I mean, obviously you're still having a rough time. And why can't you have, like, for leveling to 110 you can have flying. I was just assuming that you'd go back and do the Draenor and the Legion flying. I was just leveling my Hunter, and the most annoying part is Pandaria. You can't fly in Pandaria unless you manage to pick up a Tome of the Four Winds. Hang on. Unless you manage to pick up a Tome of the Four Winds off of the Black Market Auction House. That is the only way to get a level 90 ult flying at level 90. Or is it 85? A level 85 ult at level 85 to help get them to level 90. And I was reading that it goes so fast there's like no point. And they're right, with full Irelands you can just quest on foot through Pandaria and you'll be done in like 2 hours tops. So that was kind of annoying, but then I got to Draenor and I could fly again, and Draenor's going real quick. Are you French-Canadian? What is choux and how do you say it? I'm not French-Canadian. I have French-Canadian family, so I'm not far removed from French-Canada, but I don't speak a whole lot of French myself. Choux is pronounced chew like a foot, or at least that's what I'm assuming, and the only reason I know that is actually from watching the Great British Baking Show, Great British Bake Off. They have made choux pastry before, And I didn't know how it was spelled when I watched that. I thought they were just making pastry that was in the shape of a shoe, because they've done weirder things on that show. But as it turns out, it's a thing. I've been enjoying Naxi still like Widget the best. Widget is just adorable and speedy, and with the combo, it's just good stuff. Plus, I have a big kitty thing. I have 9 Draenei on 100, hence the name. Well, you gotta get into 110 then. You gotta catch them all up. Are they of all different classes? Because that would be kind of neat. It would be like having a guild, like having a big family, but it's like all you. Okay, so I'm holding this towel for no reason. So I have moved my dough into this bowl, and we're letting it cool for about 5 minutes. So I would estimate that's been about 2 minutes. So I'm gonna yammer on for another 3 or so. And the reason we're letting that cool, I'm fairly certain, is because we're about to mix in 4 eggs, and the last thing we want is for them to cook. Pausing until each is fully incorporated in the dough. I feel like mixing an egg into this dough is going to be rough. Anyways, while I let that cool, I'm going to prepare the baking sheets. It wants me to make 2 baking sheets with parchment on top of them, and then I'm going to find a pastry bag or a Ziploc or something. I'm going to need to pipe this somehow. So, okay. Baking sheet 1 and 2. These may bake differently because that one is insulated and that one is not insulated, but it'll be a science experiment. We'll figure out which one we should do instead. I would assume there's nothing wrong with letting them set for a minute, because it says it wants me to bake 1 tray at a time, but it also says it wants me to pipe both of them at once, so it's probably fine. Parchment number 1. Yeah. I don't remember exactly when baking parchment became popular. It was sometime when I was like a young teenager or an old child, and it was just the best thing ever. Like, I don't know how people lived their lives before this stuff. They just greased a lot of dishes and then had to wash a lot of dishes. Like, it's not even a comparison. Alright, so those are the trays. You know, I do have a star tip, but it's like not really wide. I have the weirdest assortment of piping stuff. Like, we have these weird squeezy bottles, which will not work for this. I have a bag. Maybe I can make this work. The bag came with the cake pop set from that whole cake pop catastrophe. So how do I adapt the bag? I've got, like, things that... Alright, so that... Oh, I see. I understand. Alright. But now the real question is, can I add to this thing a star... I guess I could add to this thing. I guess there's nothing really different about these. We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna make them pretty. I don't think this is wide enough. This is the widest star tip I have. This is my fingers for scale. It's pretty small. I'm gonna make like really weird worms. So it says, with a large star tip. I don't think this counts as large. Is it better to have a large star tip? Or a medium star tip? Or a large nothing tip and make a blorp? It's gonna look like a slug either way. When you're at a WoW recipes, are you going to do Great British Baking things? I love the cooking streams. I am strongly considering it. I'm gonna kind of pull recipes from whatever like people are requesting or things that I just want to try and bake, and we will try and put a WoW twist on them, but we will probably just put a WoW name on an otherwise non-WoW related thing, like the Dusko tiramisu, which was delicious, by the way. All different classes, but 2 paladins. Draenei paladins are one of my favorite Draenei race class combinations. I love, from, ever since I saw Murad in the Burning Crusade trailer, oh, he looks so cool, with like the book and the, I don't know what was on his face. It looked like guilt to me, but I thought it was really cool. Is Fated Dreams a good guild name? I would say so. I would say so. Great British Bake Off is amazing. It's incredible how kind the contestants are to each other compared to American reality shows. Yeah, and I think a lot of that is not necessarily on the people, but on the people that are doing the directing and the editing. Like, I feel like, and I don't watch American reality TV, but I feel like a lot of I can't do words. A lot of the sort of, like, bitter darkness that gets put into American reality TV is, A, encouraged and somewhat incited by people running the show because they want that drama, and then secondly, absolutely emphasized in editing. They'll take things completely out of context for the sake of telling a story that didn't necessarily happen. What is she making? We're making choux pastry. Right now I have it in a bowl. We're letting it cool down, and then we're going to mix some eggs into it. And basically, we're going to... This is the World of Warcraft cookbook, and we're going to make it into these things. Except they're not going to look like that because, you know, it never goes that way the first time. Americans are too competitive. Okay, alright, so... Is that cool enough yet? Oh, I was going to try and figure out my plan. I was going to figure out my piping plan. It's really small. Also, what is it even attached to? This one? Does it go like that? And then like this? Like these are supposed to screw on to, I guess this is kind of like it's not really any different. No, because this one, the tip actually screws onto the outside, and this one, the bottle screws onto the inside. That won't work. Alright, we're not using the start tip, because it won't attach anyway, or it won't attach well. I could probably, like, squeeze it to the end there, but we're just going with no tip, I think, because I don't have one that's big enough. Love your apron. Where did you find it? I bought this on Etsy. There is a Etsy shop called Printing and Crafting that does WoW print stuff. They also sent me a sweet, big vinyl sticker that I have stuck in my computer case. How are you liking the WoW cookbook? Is it worth getting? 100% worth getting. It has so many recipes in it, and so many of them, like almost all of them, have turned out like phenomenally. And there's just stuff from every sort of different category, and there's stuff for every skill of baker. And most of it uses ingredients that are really easy to find that you might already have. And it's just like the photos are beautiful, everything's great. It's super, super worth it. If you do decide to get it, check the Amazon price. The Amazon price is almost always cheaper than the Blizzard store price. And in the description of the stream, I have an Amazon link that has either a direct cookbook link, or it might be just my shop/Hazelnuttygames link that has the Amazon, or that has the Warcraft cookbook, as well as other stuff that I've used on stream. I'm Matt. Have a great day. Thanks again for your vids. Bye. See you, Matt. Do you plan on stream on Twitch too once? I love it. I used to stream on Twitch. I streamed on Twitch for years. I don't think I'm going to go back. I have no intentions of going back unless there is some catastrophic change to YouTube streaming that I don't like. Okay, so I would say that's cooled long enough. So we're going to figure out the piping problem later. So we're going to mix with a hand mixer and incorporate eggs one at a time. So I'm going to get my hand mixer out. Should I use 2 or just 1? I feel like 1. Maybe 2. I don't know. Where's the other one? Maybe I only have 1. Oh, there it is. There it is. I mostly use my hand mixer attachments to, like, mix with my actual hand these days, ever since I got the stand mixer. Alright. So, that! I'm real good at dropping stuff. Let's move some of this out of the way. I can hang it over there. I can hang it over there. Piping bag over there. Got this thing all ready to go. Definitely get the book from your link. Unfortunately, I'm in Canada, so I'll have to use the CA link. You don't happen to have a CA link, do you? I don't think I do. I never figured out how to set that up. Don't worry about the affiliate link if you're outside the US. Just make sure that you check Amazon so that you get the better price on the book. What do you think about the next expansion? I think Bolvar is up to something. Bolvar is definitely up to something. Whether or not that is addressed in the next expansion is really in the air. From doing the Death Knight quest, and just from what the cute Lich King hat does to people, Bolvar is going to be up to something. I'm confident. Not positive, but I'm not really positive of anything. 4 eggs, 1 at a time? 1 at a time? 4 eggs? 4 eggs, 1 at a time? I keep thinking about, like, my dream streaming setup for here, especially if I build another PC to actually make and edit videos on, and then the one that I'm currently using could be made for a kitchen/living room streaming PC. I could have the second camera again. I could have, like, the second view. I could have 60 FPS. Who doesn't want to bake in 60 FPS? Alright, so what am I doing? Mix with a hand mixer. Add in the eggs 1 at a time. 4 eggs. Pause until each is fully incorporated. Okay. And then we're just going to pipe it onto the thing in the squigglies. So I'm going to stick this somewhere where I'm going to forget where it is again. I'm going to get my eggs. I am going to make a mess of trying to crack them. I'm going to mix over here a little bit so that the mixer's got a little bit of clearance from the microphone. It's still going to be kind of loud, but that's alright. I don't need that anymore. Oh dear. Every time, man. Every time. That's what I get for cracking it in the bowl. I know I'm supposed to crack it like on a flat surface. I'll try that next time. I'm just so bad at it. And there's one more. Oh, maybe that was it. This looks really gross. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, this is not gonna look like food until after we baked it. Alright, so that's number one. I should have used a bigger bowl. I think I'm supposed to be mixing continuously while I do this, which is why I wanted to use the stand mixer. I can't crack an egg with one hand. Alright, that's better. 2. I'm also going to use this thing to kind of scrape the sides once I got all the eggs in. Oh, but I was supposed to do it on the, I was supposed to do it in the counter. Alright, 3. I don't want to get egg all over my music. Third one. Definitely should have used a bigger bowl. Always use the bigger bowl. 4. I'm just like so averse to dishes. I mean, who isn't? Who likes doing dishes? Nobody likes doing dishes. Alright, here's the 4th one. We're gonna scrape the sides, do it again. It says I should have a nice glossy batter, but what I appear to have is cottage cheese. But the more I mix it, the more the gluten's gonna develop, like you mentioned, and that should make it hold together a bit better. Although, I guess it needs to be batter, not necessarily dough. Like, it can be pretty liquid. We are piping it. We are piping it, so... The eggs away. Let's get the extra stuff out of here. And then we're just gonna go for it. I don't know if it looks glossy. She said it's supposed to be glossy. I thought it looked glossier pre-eggs, to be honest with you. I don't think my technique here is really getting anything done. This is not the best way to do this. Yeah. You can do it. I'm trying to think of what this smells like. It kind of smells like waffle batter. I guess it just smells like flour. I guess it just smells like what happens when you mix flour with water and butter. Maybe it smells like butter. Okay. Get back in there. I'm probably going to need all of it. Alright, well that was a terrible idea. Alright. I hope I don't get hungry 5 hours away from dinner. You know what you gotta do is you gotta carry pocket snacks. Sometimes during my workday, I'll keep an emergency granola bar on my desk, which is funny because I work about 18 steps from my kitchen now. It would be fine for me to come get one from here. But I'll keep it on my desk just so that if I really need it, I can just grab it and be like, snack time. One pair of headphones is in my phone. Other one is in my PC. I'm using one pair each to play WoW and listen to you. You sound like you've got a good setup there. You recommend a soundtrack, maybe Warcraft Tavern music? That wouldn't be a bad idea, actually. I should look into that. I've been resistant to playing music on these because YouTube is very copyright happy, even when the music is not copyrighted. And I figure with no music, that leaves people watching the stream free to play their own music. But I feel like Tavern music would go really well. Alright, so we're gonna go with that. We're gonna stick in the bag. We don't have a large star tip. If I decide to make these all the time, which I think is highly unlikely, but maybe they'll just be really good, then we'll do that. So I don't know how I'm gonna get this in here. Maybe I should use a Ziploc. I think I'm gonna use a Ziploc instead of the pastry bag because I'm not even fitting a tip to it. Like if I was using one of the tips, then the pastry bag would make more sense. But I think it's going to be easier to get my dough into one of these things because it's got a much wider mouth. You have apples, just dinner will be super tasty. Well, what's for dinner? Waffles? Oh. I am a big proponent of team waffles. Pancakes are edible. They're food. They're fine. I would rate French toast above pancakes, and I would rate waffles above all other forms of breakfast. Although lately as I get older, like when I was a kid, whenever I used to get taken out to breakfast by like grandparents or whatever, I would always order like the waffles. And then all the adults would be ordering like eggs and bacon and mushrooms and cheese and sun-dried tomatoes and like whatever. And I always thought they were crazy because I was like, you know they've got waffles here, right? Like with like the fruit and the whipped cream, like you guys are crazy. But as I get older, I find myself doing the same thing mostly because I get hungry again if I don't have enough protein with my breakfast. And that never happened to me as a kid. I don't know why. Roll the ends over so you can get in deeper and make less mess. That would have been smart. That would have been smart. We're not making a huge amount of mess with the Ziploc. Although we haven't gotten to the point where we're actually piping it out yet, but we're almost there. So I'm pretty pleased that I managed to actually get most of the dough into that bag. Some of these things, when you transfer them, they just leave like a massive, massive mess. So we're gonna use this one first, and I'm gonna snip corner. Hopefully that seems like the right size of corner. Just gonna kind of wing it. Your team pancakes because counter space. True. Pancakes are definitely faster and require less counter space to whip up than waffles. Although, I always burn pancakes, and I've never burned a waffle. Actually, that's not true. I've definitely burned waffles. But it's harder for me to burn waffles because the machine tells me when they're done. Alright, so we're supposed to be making these into shapes that are 3 inches long and 1 inch wide. And hers are just squigglies, so we're going to try that. We're gonna try and just like make some squigglies. 3 inches long, 1 inch wide. I feel like my tip is the right size. I need to weigh down my parchment though. Okay. Random stuff. There we go. 3 inches long. Alright, this is a silly inch, so I'm gonna go back up this side. What a strange thing. Alright, well, it's fine. Let's try again. How many of these am I supposed to... How many is this supposed to make? She said 2 trays, and she said about 15 to 20 of them, so I would assume that I'm going to want to go for like 8 to 10 per tray. So let's go a little wider this time. You know, this might actually look alright, despite the utter lack of the star twist. I didn't plan this out very well. I feel like a lot of things in my life would go better if I was better at visually planning what they're supposed to turn out like in my head. I was thinking about this specifically in regards recently to computer cable management when you're building it, because I've been looking wistfully at pictures of people that have done just the most beautiful cable management jobs you can imagine. They've got like custom sleeving, they've got the cool lights, everything is like routed in a way that looks like they put some thought into it. Like you look at this case and you're like, the person that built this was smart. Like I wanna find out what they have to say about politics at a coffee shop. And if you look at my computer case, you're probably gonna think this person had something else to do and would have preferred to take a nap over building this computer. Like I want my computer case to say better things about me, you know? Like it's always effective, but I usually, like by the time, I'm really slow at building computers. I'm so slow at it. It takes me like all day. And by the time I'm done, or not done, but by the time I'm like to the point where I'm connecting like all the power supply cables, which is one of the last things I do, I want to be out of there. Like I just want to find out if it works, figure out what I've done wrong, you know, let WoW start downloading and go to bed. I think there's no way this recipe is going to make 20 of these things. I've piped like 6 of them, and I feel like I'm towards the end of my dough. Which usually means that they're going to be like huge. I guess I should have had a ruler or something. I probably should have had some kind of a ruler. I'm just going to do 6 per tray. Alright, so the first ones can go in now. And they're going to go in for 15 to 20 minutes until the pastries are golden and slightly crispy, okay? So I guess we'll just set it for 15. And I'll start piping in the tray. Once they're like cooling, we can look into making like, there's like a drizzle, so we fill them with whipped cream. We drizzle icing over top of them, and then we also just like floof a bunch of icing sugar on top. I may get bored before we get to that step, but we're gonna find out. Yeah, there's no way I'm gonna get a whole other tray out of this. What have I done wrong here? Pancakes are too much bread for me. You burn pancakes too. I burn most things I fry. Like if I'm making a grilled cheese sandwich, the first one turns out beautifully, and it's because the pan is still heating up. But the second one, there's no way. Like the cheese gets melted and it's not charred, but it's not ideal. Get some water, wet your finger, and press the tips down to prevent burned tips. The tips, like the tips of the shape. Because my shapes are kind of blobby. I don't know if they have tips. They would definitely have tips if I'd used a star tip. Now that I've said that, I'm going to take them out of the oven and then there's going to be tips that are just like charred and I'll be like, well, I should have listened. Okay. I gotta make sure that because I used a square and not a rectangle shape or a angularly shaped bag that I get all of the dough down here. This is surprisingly satisfying. This is pretty fun. Oh. Where you lift the piping bag. Oh yeah. Did I have any? Yeah. I can kind of see what you're talking about. I'll regret that later. Do not open the oven under any circumstances or they will deflate. Okay. I will not open the oven. Alright, so in this one, maybe I'll do the water finger tip squish thing. Assuming that I can even get any pipe. I might have like 2. I think that this recipe that's supposed to make 20 of them is going to make 8. That happened to me actually when I made tarts. Because I wanted to make them like the little mini ones. I wanted to make really mini tarts. So I just used a muffin tin, which is apparently much deeper than a mini tart tray. So they were like super deep dish tarts. I still only put the requisite amount of jam in them. So there was like just the normal amount of jam at the bottom, but alright, this is, there we go. I need to make sure they are big enough because I'm gonna have to fill them. Alright, well there's one. I think we get 2. I should have just put it on the first tray. There is no reason for me to have a second tray of this. Oh dear. How did I end up with so little? They're gonna be huge, aren't they? They're gonna be like way too big. I'm not opening the oven, I promise. They look the same size as they were when they went in, which I'm pretty sure was 1 by 3 inches. She was my favorite. I make it all the time, but I just make cream puffs. I think that's the only place where I might have actually had choux pastry before. But the only time I ever ate cream puffs was as a kid. We would get them from Costco. And then we would freeze them and I would eat frozen cream puffs, which I don't think is the same experience. I think these are actually going to be very similar to a cream puff because we're just filling them with whipped cream. They're just differently shaped. I guess this last one over here is going to be a cream puff because that's all of the batter that I have left. Oh gosh. Come on now. Gloop. It's like bizarre toothpaste. I don't know if it's getting any better than that. Like there's definitely some left in here, but I am proving massively ineffective at actually getting it out. Oh gosh. Ah! Apparently that bag is not closed. Okay. So, wet finger. Squish. Go back in there. Squish. 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 This one's gonna look kind of like the poop emoji. Squish. Ugh. I think my finger's no longer wet because I'm just making them pointier. Close enough. Oh man. Only 1? Yeah, we got 1.5. We're going to have 7.5 choux pastries. How did I do that? What did I miss? Did I like quarter the recipe? 1 cup water, 1 stick butter, 1 cup flour, 4 eggs. I used the same amount of stuff. Maybe my impression of the imperial system is just massively different and that 3 inches... They're a little long. They're not incredibly long. I should have gotten at least 10 of them. I've never had choux pastry. I'm gonna find out. I feel like we're gonna try it. Although I don't know if I'm supposed to try it before it's cool. What does it say? So we bake them until they're crispy. We remove and allow them to cool completely. Okay, so we're not supposed to fill them until they're completely cool. We're also not going to glaze them until they're completely cool. Right, well, I'm going to throw this out and do some dishes. It's so silly. I'm tempted to put that tray in underneath, because even if they don't bake completely properly, it's 1.5 pastries. I feel like it's not worth the time to do them in a whole separate thing. I know the exact cream puffs from Costco that you're talking about. My dad always bought them. Yeah, they came in like this big plastic bucket, which I'm now realizing is probably not the most authentic way to eat cream puffs. But they were pretty good. They were pretty good. They froze well. They were like really hard if they'd been frozen for too long, but I think that was my fault. Okay, so here. Hey Hazel, Ufta, how are you doing? For the Alliance. Maybe she used a smaller tip and they puffed out to the length the book says. Quite possibly. She says to pipe them to that length. Maybe next time I will use the tip that I had. Maybe that was my problem. Okay, let's put some stuff away. That's got 8 minutes or so. They're kind of puffy. I wish I could... Can you see? You can't really see. You can't really see. Can I... Here, let's fly. Let's go on a flying trip. I apologize for my oven. It's not the cleanest. It's not unclean. I feel like it's an average oven. I feel like if somebody has a pristine oven, there's something weird going on there. Don't open the oven door. I'm not opening the oven door. They'll inflate more later on. Okay. Because they only have 7 minutes left in there. Alright. Dishes. I keep saying I'm going to do it, and I'm just putting it off at this point. Alright. Those look good. Do they? They remind me of something, and I'll tell you what they remind me of when I remember. I have a very distinct impression of something, and I think it's just a lack of the star twist. Other than that, they seem to be okay. They look great. I'm hoping that they'll have puffed up enough that we can fill them properly. Like, the way I see it, I'm going to poke a hole in the bottom to pipe the whipped cream in, and the whipped cream's just going to come out the other end of it, and that's going to be unfortunate. Oh, man. Depending on how quickly they cool, I may or may not do the filling part on stream. Because I don't want to fall victim to that curse that I always do, where I rush things because I'm trying to finish it on stream, and then it just doesn't turn out properly. Like, things tend to go better when I give them the time to do the things they need to do. So, we may or may not do that part. But once again, I'll post all the pictures if I decide to do that. I just noticed your fridge magnets, right? Aren't those cool? It's occurred to me that I could, like, it would be neat if I had, like, enough of them to, like, cover the whole front of the fridge. But those things are $5 each. We're not, like, rolling in dough out here. Exit certain temp and then more at a lower temp. Now, you lower the temp and bake more. Not in this recipe. It just says 425 for 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. If I'm unhappy with any part of this after I've tried it this way, then I'll definitely alter it for next time. What tea are you making? I was gonna, and then I couldn't figure out what I wanted, so then I didn't, to avoid having to decide. I'm gonna clean up my dishes, and then I might decide to put on some tea. You're trick-or-treating and about 90 tricky treats away from getting the 2 pets that I don't have. Well, that's not too far. That's not too far at all. You just gotta put on, well, actually it might go longer. I put on something on my other screen so that I was doing while I was trick-or-treating. I was like, actually I think I was listening to a podcast. I was doing something else which made it go faster, but it also made me pay less attention to where I was flying, which made it take longer because I would have a hard time triangulating my place I was going to. Kind of late. What are you filling them with? Just straight whipped cream. Straight up, super plain whipped cream. And then the icing that you drizzle them with is just icing, sugar, and then water. Very, 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 very simple. Okay. My camera cable is like in my sink, but stay over there. Doesn't need to get washed. You should be getting the Headless Horseman limit. You're leveling a gnome priest instead. That's kind of how I feel whenever Love is in the Air comes around. I'm lucky enough to have the Horseman mount. I swear there was one year, like 5 or 6 years ago, that the drop rate was just randomly way too high. Because everybody I knew that did the event that year, I don't remember which year it was, but everybody I knew that ran the Headless Horseman that year, not even farming it, but just doing it, got the mount. It was one of my first years playing WoW. Probably like early kata. Everybody got it. And then ever since then, it's been like the normal crazy grind. And maybe I just knew a bunch of really lucky people, and I was also lucky myself, but I swear they had one year where the drop rate was like a little too high. And that's when I got mine, because I didn't farm like crazy for mine. But I definitely feel you, especially because whenever the Lava Rocket comes around, whenever it's the Valentine's event, I don't do crazy Lava Rocket farming. I could. I have so many characters that would be eligible for it. I could run that on a lot of characters. Unless they decide to do the thing where it's only going to drop from the max level chest, but I could run it on a lot of them, and I just don't anymore, because the Lava Rocket especially has such a low drop rate. It's such a crazy low drop rate. Like, it's so low that there's almost no hope. Like, if you could say, alright, I'm going to run this 2,000 times over the course of this event, and I'm 95% chance to get it, I might do that. Like, obviously running it 2,000 times is insane, and it's a big commitment, but it's a big commitment for like 2 weeks, and if you really want them out, you would do it. But if you run it 2,000 times, you know, there's like a 60 to 70% chance that you don't get it, and it's not worth it if it's not worth it if the odds are that low, I think. I feel like it's just not worth the farm for me. Like, I'll still run it for the lucky charms to buy a thing or two, and if it happens, then that's great. Like, if I luck into it, then that's phenomenal, but I think I'm beyond the point of wanting to actually manually farm it. Oh, I'm gonna let that bowl soak. Not because it needs to, but because I'm tired of standing over here. Got about 3 minutes left on those. I forgot Canadians call powdered sugar icing sugar. It took me a moment. I feel like it always has both written on the packaging, but I've only ever known it as icing sugar. I get confused whenever somebody else calls it something else. Especially in British recipes, because British recipes, they also have something called castor sugar, which I've come to understand is not icing sugar and is not granulated sugar. It's like finer than granulated sugar, but their granulated sugar is like coarser than our. I don't understand. There's just sugar woes. How are you enjoying the baking stream versus the gaming stream so far? They're completely different. The baking streams, I get to eat stuff, which is pretty sweet, but in the gaming streams, I get to sit. So it's really apples and oranges. Have you got Banfu, the tiger cub from the Monk Mount quest? If so, what do you think of it? I do. I leveled my monk specifically to get Banfu, and it's a really cute pet. I will say that I haven't used it in strategies, mostly because I can't tell somebody to go get it in order to do a strategy. But secondly, I don't know, I haven't really found a good use for his moveset. But he's such a good-looking pet. That is such a good-looking cat pet. British people call icing sugar as well. Alright, well, we're good. We're cool. We're cool. I feel like my Canadian experience, I say that like I didn't live there like my whole life, but was pretty much on the very British side of being Canadian. Like, I'm from Victoria, which is in British Columbia, and most of my family is not my parents, and not my grandparents, but my great-grandparents were very British, like most of them, I think. So we're a couple generations removed from Britain, but not like unrememberable generations. You're gonna make a Draenei monk. What kind of spec are you gonna play? I was a dwarf brewmaster monk, and I'm trying to. I think I should have come up with like a cool brewmaster name, but I just named it another version of Hazel because that's my life. All right, so another 50 seconds. It says. Alright, so they're definitely puffier now. They're definitely puffier. So it says to bake them until they are golden and slightly crispy. Now, we're not going to open the oven until we're ready to take them out. But we might do that thing where we, like, set up camp. Here, I'll take you with me. We're going to set up camp all the way down here. So look at how floof. Look at how floof. But I would say that they're not golden yet. So, we're going to give it another, like, minute. At least a minute. There's definitely not enough color in this. Okay. I apologize if any of you are getting motion sickness from me picking up the camera. I should probably just leave it be. Hi, Hazel. Simple Lips, how are you doing? I gotta give you a Hazel wave. You know that, so yesterday's stream was, like, the debut of both Hazel Wave but also Hazel Cry. And I think the only person that used Hazel Cry was Flabby when he came here and just used all of the emotes. Like, nobody was sad enough to use Hazel Cry. I may have picked a poor choice of emote. Did you ever play Pokemon, Hazel? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I played Pokemon a lot as a kid. I had Pokemon Blue, but I had to share my Pokemon Blue with my sister. We had 2 Game Boys, but we only had the 1 cartridge. And if you remember the old Pokemon games, they would save to the cartridge, so we had 1 save file, because you couldn't have multiple save files in the original Pokemon. So we had to play the same game, and whenever we fought, we would, like, release each other's Pokemon. It was terrible. And then when the 2nd generation came out, Gold and Silver, our parents or our aunt or somebody got us, like, she got Silver and I got Gold. And I played so much Pokemon Gold because I was like, you mean I get to save out to myself? I can do whatever I want. I can name all of these Pokemon whatever I want. It was just, like, the best. And I used to play that. I had this little tiny, like, Game Boy nightlight that I would plug in beside my bed, and I would play under my covers for, like, hours at night when I was supposed to be sleeping. I played through Pokemon Gold probably, like, 15 times. Like, so many times. Closer. 30 more seconds. I want to make sure that they're properly golden. I don't have any intention of letting them be underbaked, because I don't think you can put them back in. How do you use the emotes? The emotes are unfortunately available to sponsors only. Sponsors get access to the custom emotes, and if you're a sponsor, you start typing colon and then Hazel, and it'll auto-suggest the rest of them. They all start with Hazel, that's the family name. So any other future emotes that I add will all start with Hazel and then, like, another word. Gamer's life, I guess. Yeah, so they're just a little bit golden on their, like, they're just getting a little bit of a suntan. They're not really, the ones in the back are still quite pale. They need another day on vacation. After Pokemon Gold, I played a good amount of Sapphire, and then it kind of dropped off until, as an adult, when I got, like, the newer ones, like Black and White. I got Pokemon Black, and then I got Sun and Moon, and Diamond. Welcome, Andrew. Thanks for sponsoring. I super appreciate that. Thank you so much. That is a huge help. That is a huge help. And we've got 4 emotes? 3 emotes. I have a 4th slot. I need to make a 4th emote. I gotta put up a poll at some point to decide what people want. Pokemon Gold was my first. For the first 2 weeks, I caught, like, every Pokemon I stumbled across. Level 12 Rattata for the win. Like, you would catch duplicates of the same one, because that's dedication. I always go into a Pokemon game being like, this time I'm going to catch every Pokemon that I find, like, one of each. I'm gonna complete this Pokedex. I'm gonna, like, 100% this game. And I always make it to, like, 5 or 6 cities worth of that, and then I just get into the story, and I want to see the story finished. It did say 15 to 20, and the original timer was only for 15, so it's not like I'm charring them by leaving them in. I bet after 1 more minute, they'll be just perfect. And then now, these days, I don't spend a whole lot of time on my 3DS playing Pokemon, although if they ever release a full Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch, I feel like I'm going to need both a Nintendo Switch and that Pokemon game. Because that was always my dream, was to play a mainline Pokemon RPG on my television. Like, I thought that was what Pokemon Coliseum was. So I got Pokemon Coliseum for my GameCube as a kid. Like, I saved up a lot for it. And that's not what it was. You could capture Pokemon from, like, other trainers. Like, you could steal the Pokemon from the bad guys, which was, like, not what I wanted. Definitely not what I wanted at all. And I was just so disappointed. I was like, I thought this was a mainline game. So if they ever do one, I'm all in. And then these days I play Pokemon Go. These days I play Pokemon Go every day with my dog. Although the weather, they're having the Halloween event right now. And I got I don't know how many of the new Pokemon are available, but I think most of the new ones that are available. It's not great weather for Pokemon right now in Oregon. Alright, we're doing it. They're coming out. They're coming out. I probably could have left those in a little longer, but here, you can, here, I'll move the tray, not the, actually, I need to move them in. So I think those are, it's hard to see with the colors, but they're definitely brown on top, and I feel like they would get overly brown if I left them any longer. So we're gonna go ahead and throw in this last 1.5 for 15, 16 minutes. So these need to cool, so I'm going to slide the parchment onto a cooling tray. Very carefully, because I have this weird feeling that if I, like, handle them wrong, they'll collapse. I still don't know how I'm going to fit cream in them. They don't seem that tall. Oh gosh. They don't seem all that... Actually, I guess if you're going to... No, I want to keep them on the parchment. I want to make sure they still have that support from underneath. What am I supposed to do with that? Were hers that tall though? Hers didn't look that tall either. I guess hers were like a 1/2 inch to 1 inch tall. Mine are a little flat. Well, most recent versions I like to catch duplicates of version exclusives to send in the mystery exchange online. Oh, true! Oh, true! Mystery exchange was the most fun thing in Pokemon Sun. Actually, I think I had Pokemon Moon. I don't remember. I had one of them. I love just getting random Pokemon. Sometimes I would send it really cool stuff, and sometimes I would be that person sending it, like something really dumb. But just seeing what you get, and then like what they're, oh man. And then the other thing I actually did in the most recent one was I spent a bunch of time breeding. I was that person on the little mount, like going around in circles in that little pen area, so that you would rack up running time to get Pokemon to hatch eggs and then hatch them I would try and hatch like perfect IV versions of baby Pokemon to raise for like my team, and then I would get all of these ones that had good but not great IVs, and I would just send them all into the mystery auction. It was so much fun. They look good. They seem to poof pretty good. They're a good amount of poof. They don't look like a disaster. They don't look like an utter and abject failure. YouTube gaming, I just became aware of it. I play too much. Wow. Are you referring to... I feel like I had that as like a tagline at some point. I don't know if I still have it up there, because I think I decided there's no such thing as too much WoW as long as you're not neglecting your life. And if my life is WoW, then I'm set. If you ever need a new game to play that's open world, I recommend the Witcher series. Especially love The Witcher 3. I might try it once I get my new computer done, just to see what a really good graphics card can do. But I don't have a ton of time to be getting as properly into an open world RPG as I would want to. I still haven't finished Dark Souls 3, which is deeply upsetting to me because I love the Dark Souls games to death. And I still haven't finished Dark Souls 3. I feel like if I went back to an RPG, I would definitely do that one first. Game Freak says this might be the last Pokemon game for the 3DS. How do you feel about this might being the first sign of the end for the 3DS? I think that's perfectly fine. The 3DS has been... It's old now. Like, it hasn't really changed much since the DS, which was old. And now the 3DS and like the 3DS XL, like they're fine, but they're underpowered. And I feel like they're really limiting themselves. And of course, whenever Nintendo comes out with something new, it's also going to be underpowered. But it will at least be a slightly more updated version of being underpowered. And I think that's fine. I'm curious to know if they're just going to move all of their future DS development games or things that would have been on the DS to the Switch. Or if they're going to come out with a new handheld. Because I feel like in Japan especially, like the handheld market's really big. Maybe it's not anymore. Maybe people want people to use the Switch as a handheld, but isn't it big? I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. 3DS is 7 years. Yeah, it's old for consumer tech. Like, it's ancient. Out of all the RPGs, why did you choose WoW to focus on? Or do you know? Oh, I've just been addicted to WoW for like 7, 8 years. I don't know if I really chose WoW. I think WoW chose me. I think it was like a Harry Potter wand choosing the wizard kind of thing. You're thinking about getting a Switch, still not a lot of games there. That's kind of where we're at. We're going to get a Switch if there's ever a Pokemon game. So my two system sellers are a Pokemon game or an Animal Crossing game. Because you know I'm all about that Animal Crossing life. And then my husband wants one if they do, I think, I want to say Final Fantasy? I've forgotten. But he's got at least 1 or 2 system selling games for the Switch if they do come out eventually. But nothing right now in the catalog is really compelling. And honestly, we have a PS4 and a Wii U, and we don't really use either of them much. Like, if there's a game that comes out, then sure, but... They did recently add Stardew Valley to the Switch, though, which I've been meaning to play. I have been purposely avoiding Stardew Valley because I know I'm going to get too into it, and I know I don't have time. It's one of those things where I can't touch it because I know I'm going to love it, and I can't go there. I can't. I have too many things on my plate right now. Breath of the Wild is a super good game for the Switch. I loved it. We had Breath of the Wild for the Wii U. We got the Wii U version because we had a Wii U already, but we didn't want to get the Switch just for the Breath of the Wild. And Breath of the Wild is an amazing game. Like, that is, in my opinion, the best Zelda game. I do want to play more of it. Sometimes I have a hard time with Zelda games because I'm one of those weird people that needs to customize my avatar. And don't get me wrong, you can play dress up in Zelda, but you're always going to be Link. You're always going to be Link. And I like playing a girl character. I know that sounds so silly, but that's the other reason why I've been kind of averse to The Witcher, is Dark Souls lets me be a girl. I like games that let me play as a female player character. It's bizarrely important to me. I know it shouldn't matter that much, but I really like having that level of customization, which has always stopped me from getting super into a Zelda game. Wii U, yeah. I like my Wii U. I can't say I played too much on it, but everything I ever did on it was very satisfactory. So, how cool is this? Not cool. I'm gonna try and get them out from under. Let them show a little more without their parchment bed. They smell like waffles. They smell exactly like waffles. Witcher has a female route too. Oh, do they? I should check that out then. I just resubbed to WoW. The last time I played, the Nighthold was getting ready to come out. Well, you missed some stuff. So the Nighthold came out, and then Tomb of Sargeras came out, and we're about at the end of Tomb of Sargeras. We're anticipating the release of the new raid within probably about 3 weeks, like within another month, I would say. We're going to be getting the next raid, which is Antorus the Burning Throne. Big 11 boss raid. And the whole Argus experience is quite substantial as well. You play as one of the girls for a bit if you don't mind spoilers. Yeah, but I want to make my character. I want to do it all Skyrim. Hello, Hazel from Germany. Welcome, Zardis. Matters. It's something I look for too on games, but you can trust me. You'll play as you'll be playing as Geralt. Yeah. Not top of my list of things to do. I'm sure it's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure it's phenomenal. And I would probably love it. I think it'll be before or after BlizzCon. I think it's going to be after BlizzCon. I think the first Tuesday after BlizzCon is going to be the release of the raid. I am 96% certain that at BlizzCon they're going to announce the release of the raid, and it's going to be for that day. So that's the assumption I'm rolling with. You can play Ciri for a few of the quests, but most of the time you play Geralt. Yeah, that's kind of what I was figuring. I don't know if these are going to cool enough to fill or dress anytime soon. They're like retaining heat. Also, this one looks funny. Like, I'm supposed to poke holes in the bottom of them and then fill them. And they're about that tall. The bottoms look kind of like nicely brown. Like, I think they're fine, although it doesn't look like something you would see in a bakery, but they never do the first time. Maybe they're very soft on the inside, like a pita bread is, and they'll create room once I start piping the whipped cream in there. I might have to do that off stream, though. Okay, so those are in there for another 8 minutes. It's about 10 after 11, and I think I'm going to call it. I think I'm going to give those enough time to cool before I try and fill them, because otherwise it is going to be like a disastrous mess. So I think I'm going to be done. I'm going to be uploading or publishing the stream VoD from yesterday's stream today, and then this one should go live tomorrow. I'm also going to try and get out the last pet battle guide over the weekend, and then I'm hoping to start raid guides very, very soon. I might do a BlizzCon prediction video before raid guides, or I might just do it in the middle, but we'll see. So thank you guys so much for coming. I really hope those are good. I will let you know. I'm going to post pictures of the finished product once I've got them like filled and they're cooled properly on my Instagram page, which is Instagram at HazelnuttyLife. My other tags are all games, but that one's life. And thank you guys so much for coming. I hope you guys have a phenomenal weekend.